Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to this circle. Welcome to those of you joining us online. In a time in which we live in a multiverse, not even just a universe, we can feel insignificant, like a speck on the planet, one among many. What difference do we really make? But we come to this circle where each of us are essential. We come to create spiritual community together. And our significance doesn't depend on whether we're young or old or in between, whether we're single or partnered or in between, whether we're male or female or beyond the binaries of gender. Whatever our orientation, whatever our gender identity, whatever our race, whatever our heritage, whatever our language, we are necessary to this circle and significant just as we are. We come here in deep gratitude, honoring the long witness of this land. This land on which we gather, we come mindful of our history and of our spirituality, of our culture, of the Cree peoples on whose ancestors' homes we have made our home. We honor the people of the Papas-Chase Nation, the Métis people of this land. And we also are mindful of our wounded history, a history out of which we come, seeking to be more respectful, more responsible as treaty partners moving forward in truth and reconciliation with one another. For all the ways that you support the work of our community here locally and beyond this local configuration that we are together. We invite you to support our work with a check or cash into the donation boxes at the back, or online at our website, or by purchasing grocery cards, which are available in the foyer today. We celebrate and sing our way into community with each other. We sing about what it means to belong.
Always one cheeky person. Lighting a candle seems like a simple act. When we gather and we light that candle, we recognize that the simple things are the things that often are the most important. Lighting a candle, it's a small flame, but it can warm a person on a cold night. Doing small things in community, like extending a hand or arms for a hug, the glint in your eye or the smile as you meet someone here on a Sunday morning, and a person is made to feel welcome. Those are small things that make a meaningful difference. We light this candle as symbol of the welcome that is a part of each of us, that is shining in us for any to see, if we'll allow them to see it. May this light shine among us this morning as a reminder that we are all welcome, that we all belong, and it's the little things that make us feel that way. I'm going to invite us to gather into a time for all ages now. This is a time where if you're small, if you're big, if you're young, if you're old, you're welcome to participate in whatever way you want. You can come to the carpet, you can listen from where you're at, you can sit on the edges, you can sit right in the middle. Come, if you like, to the carpet for our time for all ages. There's lots of room up here. You might just have to come around the table like this and grab a spot. Good morning, everyone. I would like this morning to tell you about a feeling I have. Whenever I am out somewhere and I come home to my house, I open the door and I feel like this. I'm home. Home for me has that feeling of being a place where I can relax, a place where there's people that I love and that love me. A home for me is where I can just take this breath and have this really kind of wonderful feeling about, I belong here. When we walk into this place, we all hope that we're building with each other a place that feels kind of like that. A place that we can all come in. If we come in here on a Sunday morning like this morning, and we come in and we see some people we know, we see some friends, we see some people that we have played with or that we've talked with or that we've know, and we can look at them and say, oh, hi. We belong here. This is so neat that we're here. A place we belong is not just a place where you maybe have friends. A place you belong is also a place where you feel safe. A place where you can say, you know what? This is a great place for me. Like maybe you love, do any of you love to run around in this place? How about when we put the chairs away? Isn't that even more fun to run around? Yeah. It's a place you can run. It's a place where I can go into a place where I know I belong and where it feels safe and comfortable, and I can say, you know what? If I have to go to the bathroom, I know where it is. That's pretty silly, right? But It's a place where we feel comfy and cozy and a little bit like home. And we want this place to be like that for everyone here, for you, for everyone that comes, and for anyone who happens to come in the door. They should feel like they can come in the door and you could look around and you could go, this is a good place to be. But do you know what? It doesn't just get like that on its own. How does a place feel comfy and safe and relaxing and make you want to smile? How does that happen?
When I get home, I really want to have my TV and suck it.
That makes me laugh. That is wonderful. There are favorite things to do when you get home, right? Yes. When we come to a place like this, we all are in charge of making people feel happy and safe and like they belong and that they're welcome. So, next time you come here, remember that part of it is your job to say hi to your friends, to wave at people, or if you don't feel very happy that day, to let people smile and wave at you. Exactly, like that. Like that. So this is a place we belong, a place we can feel love, and we want that for everyone, and we want that for everyone. Wouldn't it be great if everyone in the world had places that they feel loved and that they belong? It would be amazing. We want that for everyone. Now, today is a really great time to say welcome because we get to welcome back our programs for the year. We get to welcome back preschool time and Kid Spirit time and youth time. And it's really great to have a welcoming day back because we also get to welcome some new people that are going to help us lead our programs with us. And so I want those people to come up here and join me at the front, and we're going to meet them. So I'm going to invite Daisy and Ariane and Corey to come and join me right up at the front so that we can all do that really fun thing where we get to say hi. Maybe they'll wave at you or something. Many of you know Daisy. Daisy is going to be our preschool leader for the year and is excited to lead all these little guys and girls in their time this morning and through the year. I want you all to meet Ariane. Ariane is going to lead our Kid Spirit program for elementary age kids. And I want you to meet Corey. Corey's going to lead our youth cafe and some of our youth events with us this year. And we are all excited. What do we do when we want to say hi and welcome to someone? What do you want to do? Oh, yes, we can clap. You're going to get to know these folks through the year, and now I want to invite us all to go and follow me and follow these leaders to our programs, and we're going to get a great start on some fun things. So if you're in preschool,
I want to share a very old story with you, a story that comes from late in the first century, a story that was written late in the first century, set early in the first century, a story that we only hear in one of the four storytellers' voices that give us stories of Jesus of Nazareth, a story from a collection of writings under the name Luke, and here's a story from chapter 19. Jesus entered a place called Jericho, and a man there was named Zacchaeus. He was a tax collector. In fact, he was the chief tax collector, and he was very rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but because of the crowd and because he was short, he found it difficult to see, so he ran ahead and he climbed a sycamore tree because Jesus was going to pass near that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and he said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry up and come down. I must stay at your house today." So he hurried, and he was so happy to welcome him. But all who saw it began to grumble and said, "Jesus has gone to be the guest of one who's a thief?" Zacchaeus stood there and said to Jesus, "Look, half of my possessions I'll give to the poor. And if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I'll pay it back 4 times over." And Jesus said to him, "Today wholeness has come to your house. For you too are a son of Abraham and Sarah. And I have come to seek and to save the lost." In the words of this ancient story, every September evokes for me a mix of memories. Maybe it does for you too. First day of school, the excitement and the anxiety of walking into the Lord Beaverbrook School to meet Mrs. Hutton and 30 other fellow first graders. And it still evokes the fear and anticipation I felt stepping onto the campus at Dalhousie University and standing in the doorway of the administration building and feeling utterly overwhelmed, not even knowing which line to stand in, how to register for a class, what question to ask, how to find the classroom. And that same angst and that same energy accompanies every new entry. The first day of graduate school, the first Sunday in a new congregation, first day of law school, first day of articling, the first time I walked in these very strange doors. We've all been there. First day of moving into a new neighborhood, first day at a new job, first day at a new program or class we sign up for. And how is it that somehow in those experiences, we all feel like we're the only one who doesn't know what to do or where to go? And that somehow everyone knows something we don't know. And that we don't belong here. We're the only one that doesn't really fit. Someone's going to know we're a fraud. And whether it's a new school or a new job or an interview or an appointment or a meeting or a party or a new organization we've walked into or a new spiritual community like this, we all know that deep loneliness and the uncertainty of navigating the new, of finding our way through the unfamiliar. It's a personal experience we've all had in some way, and it's also a social and a global reality. We're confronted every day by the experience of millions of the world's people who are seeking a place to belong, seeking sanctuary from hunger or drought or war, violence, poverty, disease, intolerance, cruelty, prejudice. And for those of us who are a few generations removed from our migrant past, we can only begin to imagine the loneliness and the fear that accompanies also that deep hope of finding a welcome that will make possible a new and a more secure life. And into those personal and social and global quests for belonging comes this wisdom of an ancient story we read a moment ago. Now, wouldn't the movie version of that story have to cast Danny DeVito in the lead role as Zacchaeus? Playing that sawed-off little social disaster with an overweight bank account. I kept trying to picture who would play Mrs. Zacchaeus, and maybe it would be Valerie Harper, kind of nagging wife. And somehow I think she would be the more sympathetic character in the story. Because can't you just imagine the look on her face when her husband comes through the door with a dozen or so of Jesus' closest friends, and she's to feed them dinner? What was an honor for her husband is an obligation for her. How's she going to feed all these hungry guys that just turned up uninvited on her doorstep? And it's not like they entertained often. Of course, everyone in Jericho would have known her husband, but not because he was popular, but because he was notorious. And really, it's curiosity that's to blame. Because maybe it was because Zacchaeus had heard things about this Galilean peasant from Nazareth who was drawing crowds everywhere he went around the country. So the story has Zacchaeus running ahead as if he's on some kind of reconnaissance mission, ever the schemer, looking for a way to see without being seen. And at 5 feet tall with his sandals on, that's a really tall order. But the crook in him hadn't entirely extinguished the boy in him, and he found a way to both be behind and above the crowd. This sawed-off shyster shimmied up a sycamore tree in order to see and not be seen. And then, as the story goes, for the first time in longer than he could remember, someone looked up at him. Someone looked up to him. Someone called him by the name his parents had given him. Someone spoke directly to him. Someone said he needed to be in his company. Can't you just imagine what the crowd was hoping for? Can't you just see them there rubbing their hands together, waiting for Jesus to rant about the corrupt conspiracy and the collaboration with the Roman occupation that Zacchaeus was helping perpetrate? Can't you just see them waiting for the burst of outrage where Jesus would express his critique about the inequities that were robbing people of their land and stealing their bread and their hope? Can't you see them waiting for this display of righteous indignation where he would rant about the temple authorities who were in collaboration with the tax collectors, ripping people off? They're waiting for Zacchaeus to be humiliated, for Jesus to knock this bloody crook down a few pegs. But the way the story goes, instead of calling him names, Jesus speaks his name and invites himself to go to his home. Can the story really be saying what we hear it saying? I must go to your house today. I need to spend time with you. I need to talk to you. I need to know you. I need to put my feet under your table and sleep under your roof. I need your hospitality. I need to go home with you. Of all the places the story could have Jesus stay in Jericho, of all the good people he could hang out with, why in the world does the story send him home with this crook? Well, in the compressed way of these kinds of narratives, they hadn't even made it across the threshold of the door in Zacchaeus' home when he announced he had way too much stuff and he was going to give half of it away, and all the stuff he'd come by dishonestly, that stuff he'd acquired by exploiting others, that stuff he'd gotten by his power to intimidate and extort, he was going to make restitution to those he'd hurt. And in an attempt to make amends, he'd redistribute 50% of what he had, and then, in addition, he'd repay what he took on a ratio of 4-to-1. And he wasn't shamed or blamed into doing it. The way the story tells it, it was his response to relationship. It was the way he responded to someone who treated him with dignity and with respect and with acceptance, someone who sought to be in relationship with him. But surely it wouldn't just be Zacchaeus who was changed by this genuine human encounter. After all, the story says Jesus expressed his need of Zacchaeus, not the other way around. Why did Jesus need to be with this guy? Talk to him. Put himself in the vulnerable position of receiving hospitality from one who embodied the very ethic and the evils of the system Jesus sought to dismantle. Isn't it the same need we have? To have conversations, to build relationships with those who are the face of the structures we resist and the values of the systems that we seek to change? Isn't it the same need that we have to be in the company of those that we fear and those we label, and those who see a different path to a better world? Isn't it an opportunity to discover what has shaped each of us in life, what's led us to see the world the way we do and to treat one another as we do? Is it not the way to find ourselves into some understanding and some empathy? In the world of the story, it was a life-changing encounter for both characters. Jesus was received as an honored guest in the home of a man who most first-century Jews wouldn't have entered. So how could he not be changed by that experience? And it was a life-changing experience for a stranger that made a philanthropist out of a thief. In this simple exchange of common humanity, Zacchaeus is named again as a beloved child of Abraham and Sarah, as one who belonged to the community of ancient Israel, as one who was invited to take his place, to participate in the common good of justice and compassion. In this space where each invited the other to belong to the conversation, to have a place at the table, wholeness didn't just come to Zacchaeus, it came to his household. We stand in a time that invites us to know our need of each other, to know our need of those who seek refuge in our home, to know our need to belong, each of us, and that we'll never belong until we all belong. Isn't that the great wisdom of our best teachers, our Aboriginal brothers and sisters who teach us that we belong to the earth? The earth doesn't belong to us. We belong to the earth and to each other and all my relations. And isn't it the great teaching of our African brothers and sisters of Ubuntu? I am because you are. So how can I be if you're not? How can I be fully and truly human if you are not treated with dignity and respect that honors you in your fullness? This is our time to pause with each other, to consider our need of one another. Because whether we're introverts or extroverts, whether we live by ourselves or we live in a pack, we need each other to keep our hearts open. We need each other to keep our minds challenged. We need each other to keep our spirits awake to the way things really are and the way they could be. We need each other to stay alive to our human need for belonging. We need each other in order to make hospitality a habit of our hearts. So we take a little time, a little space, a little silence to consider how it is that we could help each other find and take our place. Everything prays, whether we call it that or not. Our breath is a prayer, an expression of our connection with all that is at another moment of being. Our sigh is a prayer, one for which we have no words. Our expression of wow and wonder is a prayer for that which is beyond words. When we gather with each other, we take a moment to strengthen our intentions, to be about living our highest and best humanity, and that is a prayer. We offer these words with one another as our way of being in spirit with a prayer handed down in our tradition, known by many names, the prayer of Jesus, framed with more contemporary language and imagery. And we offer these words together as a way of stating our intentions about our living. We embrace the sacredness of all life with awe and reverence, and we commit ourselves to work for a more fair and just world. We seek to live with deep intention that all may have enough for today. May we let go of all the guilt and regret that encumbers us and embrace relationships of trust, offering and receiving forgiveness as a way to freedom. May we live examined lives, inspired to find meaning and purpose in our living, working to transform every challenge into an opportunity to grow and thrive. May it ever be so. When we extinguish this light, the light isn't gone, it just changes form. It becomes a new expression. We are one expression of community as we gather in this place. Now we go to express that belonging, taking our place in the world, in the circles of our family, of our work, of our neighborhoods, of all the communities into which life invites us. And we go that we might bring the light of peace and grace, that we might bring the light of love to all those places where we live and move and have our being.